Hello and welcome to A226. My name is Leslie Schmidt and I'm the French 1 and French 3 teacher that your student has this year. If at any time you need to contact me, the best way is through email. My address is there on the screen, but you can contact me through voicemail with that extension there, and I will get back with you within 24 hours. If your student needs to contact me for any reason, please encourage them to use Canvas message and not email. Thank you. So, in French 1, these are the themes that I hope to cover throughout the semester 1 this year. Feel free to pause and read through them carefully if you'd like. And then semester 2, units 4 through 6. Again, we will cover all of these themes. We may not get to every small section of every chapter. In French 3, these three will be the themes for the first semester, and 4 through 6 for second semester. Again, feel free to pause or rewind the video if you'd like to take a closer look. As far as each unit goes in both levels, there are 6 major parts, or 5 major parts, I should say. The numbering is off there. We begin with a rencontre interculturelle, so an interactive cultural section, focusing on one francophone country or culture, maybe a couple at a time. And included with that is a video blog, or we call them vlogs, of actual Francophone teenagers, and they're tied to the unit's theme and the culture that they're from. And then we have 3 sections called J'avance. I'm advancing, I'm taking steps to improve. Each avance has a comment dit-on vocab section and a découvrant structure section. And when we finish that, we take a formative assessment after each one. So you can see comment dit-on and découvrant 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. The question mark there after J'avance toi is that I'm not sure if we will always do the formative assessment before moving into the summative at the end of the third step, the third J'avance, depending on how necessary it is to evaluate before we go into the summative. The summatives I will talk about again here soon, but that's basically what a unit will look like. So in class, I use an instructional strategy called comprehensible input. It is the leading way of teaching a language, or as we call it, acquiring a language. Basically, our goal is to spend 90% of our class time in French, and through input that they can understand, things that are at their level. So with vocabulary, I use a lot of gestures and images or synonyms and antonyms, and as little English as possible when we do that. And it is just like you would with a baby that can't speak yet, just repetition and repetition, and kind of getting them enough input that it is acquired rather than memorized. The grammar will happen the same way as we're introducing the structures, with lots of imitation and the grammar being used in context so that it actually means something rather than memorizing a table of verb conjugations. And as they move through the introductory day or days, they'll then have a nightly tutorial video, which requires them to listen to all of those examples and repetitions, and use inductive reasoning to put together patterns and hypotheses about those patterns, ending up with a good conclusion at the end in their notes. So try to make it as similar to how we naturally acquire languages when we're young. As you may remember from the class guide at the beginning of the year, grade weights are 20% formative assessments, so feedback types of things, showing them how they're growing, and then 80% summative end of unit assessments. The formatives include their daily practice devoir assignments, their in class communication points, where they receive 1 point for cooperating with those around them, interacting, which you can't do. You can't communicate if you don't do that. Speaking French, like I said, we're trying to provide as much French atmosphere as we can. And then by volunteering in class and taking a risk and learning from their successes and their failures. They must volunteer enough times to be memorable to earn that point. So one time often isn't enough. I also, from time to time, will double check that they are understanding those structures with some comprehension check quizzes. And then the end of section J'avance assessments are only formatives to give them feedback on what they can improve and what they're doing well before we get to the end of the unit. So, honestly, the main thing that they want to keep in mind as they are completing those formatives is that they're constantly building for the end of unit. J'y arrive. I have arrived. I'm doing well. This is how I can use what I've learned assessments. They're multi step assessments with something interpretive. So, they're either going to read a text or listen to a selection or maybe watch a video. Then they'll move into um, some either interpersonal, where they interact with someone, ask and answer questions, either or written email or something like that, or a spoken conversation, or a presentational task where they aren't interacting with their audience, simply presenting something related to the unit's theme. And these are all based on the student's proficiency in the language, what they can do with it, where they are as far as the standards go. There are no memorization based tests for our class. Those would be maybe the comprehension check quiz or something like that, a formative. But I want to see what they can do, whether they're actually acquiring the language. When you are checking grades in Canvas, if your student received a 0 on an assignment and you're not sure why, it's usually one of several reasons. So go into the Canvas page and click on grades in the left-hand bar. And on that page, it will show you missing in the status column if your student has not submitted the assignment. Any other reason, I will actually type in the comments when I score the assignment. So look for the little symbol there that looks like a conversation, and you can either click on that or the assignment itself to view the comments and see what went wrong to earn a lower score or a 0. Next is how I would like for them to set time aside for their daily devoir, their daily practice. I would like for it to be about 30 minutes on the day when they do not have class. They've already received about 90 minutes on that day, so they really need the practice on the other day. They should use probably 7, 10 at the most minutes to study the current material and just become pretty competent with it before moving on to the activity that will be submitted in Canvas. Most of the time, that's going to be a communicative activity where I want them to kind of set their notes aside and really try to use as much of it as possible to complete the assignment and quote unquote communicate in a way similar that they will on the end of unit assessment. Sometimes they will have one of those structure videos to watch and really think about and hypothesize as well. And then, with whatever time they have left in their 30 minutes, they should use the parts of steps 1 and 2 above that might have been difficult to complete or were somewhere unclear, or they know they just need to practice more of. They also might have found that they forgot something from a past unit and they're going to need to use that later, or the structures more, anything related to the unit's theme that I may need, I being the student, to communicate on the end of lesson assessment. Finally, Canvas has links to the modules, the general resources, and the online textbook directly from the main Canvas page, so they don't have to click around a lot once they get there. I put everything they need for each day in the module. It starts with le programme du jour, which is their daily agenda. And in each, there will be links and activity numbers and documents, anything they might need in case they're absent or for when they want to go and use those activities to review and practice during their last section of their daily devoir. It'll also be all of les tâches du jour. Tâche is simply the French word for an assignment or task. So anything that we completed in class that needs to be submitted, their communication points, their assessments, those comprehension check quizzes can be found in the module. And the final thing, each module is the devoir, their daily practice assignment, with a place to submit that and an explanation of what they likely should be practicing and some suggestions for things to do for that. Finally, the online textbook is the only access they have besides the physical copy that stays in the classrooms. We only have a class set of those. There's nothing checked out to each student. So they can access that either from the link on the main page or in the general resources module. They do that through a platform called Clever. And so they'll click on the link, it takes them to Clever. If they're not signed into the CCS student portal, they will be prompted to do so. And then Clever will have a couple of different links, and they just look for the little wayside owl to take them to the online textbook. And they're getting pretty proficient with working through that. We've had access to it for about 2 weeks now. But if they ever have any questions, have them send me a Canvas message. If you ever have any questions, feel free to contact me through email or a voicemail. That includes that online textbook, like I said, but anything, don't hesitate to contact me, and let's have a great year. Bonne année.